Welcome. What's up, SteelerNation? How's everybody doing, man? Let me make sure my levels and audio is where it should be. Give me 2 seconds just to check the volume. Yep. We're firing on all cylinders. Let's get to it. What's happening, SteelerNation? Welcome to the latest episode of Terrible Towel Tuesday. I am your host, back from vacation. Sad about that. But I am back, live from the Steel Basement, man, ready to get to it, guys. Not a whole lot of information, as you guys may know. Not a lot going on. Actually, there was something that I forgot to check. Hold on, guys. Hold on. There's one thing I forgot to check. Hold on. I forgot to check one piece of information here. Okay, it hasn't happened yet. It's actually this week. I wanted to confirm when the rookie minicamp was going to be, so that's coming up this week. So we should have some information here shortly, guys, as far as the rookies, and we'll see what's going on. Yeah, man. Hold on, guys. I got another piece of information I wanted to share with you guys. I gotta find it. But what's everybody doing? How's everybody doing? I hope everybody is well. Like I said, man, I don't have a ton to get into tonight, but you know what I mean? We're gonna make it happen. Hold on, guys. Here we go. This is what I wanted to get into. We'll talk a little bit about the rookies and their numbers and such. But let's say what's up and hello to the early commenters. Sorry for keeping you guys waiting as I'm looking down on my phone. Unprepared. I know, my bad, guys. My man Mark Cunningham in the building. He says, I almost missed the show last week. Not today. What up, Sim? What up, family? What's going on, Mark? Hope you are well. Hello, Lanisha, the lovely Lanisha in the building. Hello, Lanisha. I was down in your area a little bit, man. Had a layover in Florida, in Orlando. And yeah, I was in your neck of the woods for a couple hours to and from my vacation spot. And I'll tell you guys about that in just a moment. You know, we'll get into where I went and all of that near the end of the show. Carolina Larry, what's up, man? Why Diggy, my man, what's up? Andre Coleman, he says, what's up with Steelers Nation? We're going to talk about it. Dragon Jay-Z in the building, Ali Howard in the building, my good brother Kenyon in the building. And Kenyon, man, shared some news with me earlier. Man, have y'all seen that news about Smokey Robinson? Come on, man. That's all I'm going to say. You know, and we'll allow details to come out, but man, if Smokey Robinson was cutting up like that, bruh, what is the world coming to, man? Who else is in the building? Steeler Cards in the building. James Tresvon, he says, what up, Sims? What up, ladies? What up, Steeler Nation? What up to you as well, James? Who else, man? Who else is up in here? Dark Storm 1 is in the building. BQ412 in the building. Yeah, I saw that Will Howard was on Ben's pod. I'm going to check that out. I haven't had a chance to watch it, but I'm definitely going to check that out. Been very busy, guys, with trying to catch up on stuff. I know Tony and Kenyon are waiting for me with Last of Us, but, you know, in all transparency, man, I never got around to finishing the first season of Last of Us. I watched like the first episode or two and never got around to finishing it. So I'm doing that right now. I'm actually, right before this show started, I'm almost done with episode 5. So I'm moving right along. I've been trying to knock them out, and I'll be on the current Last of Us very soon. So guys, no spoilers, please. No spoilers, please. I also went and saw Sinners today. So I'll maybe give you guys my thoughts on that once the show is near its end as well. Let's see. And by the way, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying Last of Us. I mean, this first season, so I can only imagine, because like I said, man, I'm on episode 5, and I'm trying to knock these out as fast as I can. I'm gonna try to get through them all by this week, so I can yeah, take your time. I sure will. Yeah, me and my little man gonna watch Andor as well. So I got a lot of catching up to do, man. A lot of TV shows and such. And like I said, finally saw Sinners today as well. All right, guys, let's get right to it. No need to hold you guys up or me up. You know, we lie to ourselves if we're thinking there's a lot of information to talk about here. So let me just give you guys and gals, the skinny on what I'm going to talk about. Let me pull it up here. We're going to talk a little bit about, George Pickens trade rumors once again. That's going to be the highlight of the show. Minority owner, his comments on the Aaron Rodgers situation. We'll talk a little bit about Justin Tucker getting released from the Ravens, and I'll mention that probably here first. Talk a little bit about Mason Rudolph versus Will Howard, and I'm just going to give, light commentary on that. But again, it's all going to tie into the comment or title that I have in the video. And that title is SteelerNation Needs to Make Up Their Minds. We'll get to that. And the only thing else I want to jump into, guys, we'll talk a little bit about, the rookies. They've selected their numbers, and I'll get you guys' thoughts on that. But real quick, let's get Justin Tucker out of the way. Hey, in case you guys have forgotten, Justin Tucker, and I had completely forgot about it, to be honest with you guys. I know it's not Steelers news per se, but I'm going to explain to you why it is Steelers news. For those of you who felt like Chris Boswell was more consistent, some people started feeling that way since Justin Tucker had been missing some kicks here of late, particularly the last season or two. And I know some people are going to have their homer bias with Boswell being a Steeler, but guys, we cannot discount who Justin Tucker was as a kicker for the Baltimore Ravens. We're not doing that. We're not going to act like he won't that guy, right? And his off-the-field activities, his desires, if you will, has gotten him in trouble, has caught up to him. I'm pretty sure that is the reason why the Ravens released him. And again, I don't know if there's been any type of settlement or any type of case still building, or if he's been in the – I don't know. I don't know where we're at with his allegations. But you kind of knew this was coming. But let me explain to you guys why it's still a business, still a news. Since we have known Justin Tucker, he has been very significant in Steelers versus Ravens. Yes, the Steelers have come away with most of those victories. However, Justin Tucker was always a factor because the Baltimore Ravens offense led by Lamar Jackson, really all they needed to do is get to the Steelers 45. And it was a threat. It was a threat. Once they got basically to the Steelers 45, when they got to the 50-yard line, you were a little nervous. And a lot of those Steelers-Ravens contests have been close games. So, yes, I would have to say it is good to know that Justin Tucker is no longer going to be kicking for the Baltimore Ravens. So now that kind of makes it lessens the threat, if you will, of the Ravens offense, even though they're still going to be the Ravens. But if our defense now has more field or blades the grass to defend, like Mike Tomlin likes to say, knowing that Justin Tucker is not there, that's able to kick a 58-yard, even a 60-yard, winning field goal. That is good news for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So that's the only reason why I wanted to mention it. Not so much about him being released, and I don't really care about his personal business. It's the fact that this does affect the Steelers because now the Ravens don't have that surefire weapon in their back pocket. So that's why I wanted to mention that. But hey, whatever's going on with Tucker, God bless him, man. God bless any of the victims if the allegations are true. But other than that, I don't get in people's business. Like I said, allegations are allegations. I don't know him personally, so there's no need for me to sit here and worry about it. I'm just going to keep it football. Yeah, there you go. So next up, guys, we'll talk a little bit about, man, the rookies, and they have selected their jersey numbers. I'm going to, get you guys' opinion on if y'all, like them or dislike them. We'll go rounds 1 through 7. Of course, the Steelers in round 1 took Derek Harmon. I think we already knew this before this announcement, but Derek Harmon is going to wear number 99. And, in Steeler history, number 99, I don't know what it means to some of you, older or younger viewers, But number 99 is always going to remind me of a guy that, and my Steelers, really paying attention to the Steelers tenure. I'm always going to think about the beard, man. Big Keys. It hurts me to my heart, man, that I was actually at Kiesel's last game and saw him injured. I don't know if my big brother, cousin Floyd is in the building, but, I was actually at the game with Floyd and his wife at the time. My wife was there at the time we were at the game together. And yeah, we were playing against the Saints. At the same time as when I realized Ike Taylor was no longer Ike Taylor that was going to be able to help us. As we watched, Breeze throw deep shots, and you're just watching the ball. Like when you there live, you literally looking at the ball like this, and you're just watching them run past our defense. But I'll never forget, man, that Kiesel tore his, I think it was his bicep in that game, which, essentially ended his season. And I just love Brett Kiesel, man. I loved everything about him. Him personality-wise, his attitude on the field, his play. Again, another one of those guys with a high motor, one of those character guys, man, that, if you're still a fan, you fell in love with who he was as a Steeler. So that number 99 is always going to be, Kiesel for me. And there's others. There's other guys that I could say that we all would know that 99, might stand out for you. But, again, I have certain attachments to certain players for certain reasons. And Brett Kiesel is another one of those guys. But, hopefully Derek Harmon wears it and wears it proudly. Now, this number right here is no, no mystery. Caleb Johnson is going to take number 20. And I know, yes, number 20 has been worn by some relatively decent backs in Steelers history. I wouldn't say that I have an attachment to that number, so I don't have a big, long story to give you about that. Like I said, not surprised that Johnson would go with 20 if it was available, because this is the number, if I'm not mistaken, that's what he wore in college, right? He wore number 20 in college, if I'm not mistaken. Hold on, let me make sure. I could be tripping. But I think he wore the same number in college. Let's see. I'm not mistaken, man. I told y'all I watched a lot of film. But I think he wore 20 in college. Yeah, think so. No, he wore number 2. He wore number 2. Okay, my bad. He wore number 2. And it's funny because the number 2 was like in my subconscious, but I just wasn't sure if it was him or not. But yeah, obviously he's not going to wear 2 because I'm assuming Mason Rudolph is going to have that number again. I'm just guessing. But anyway, sticking to the number 20, I have no connection to that number for the Pittsburgh Steelers, so am truly not upset about Caleb Johnson going with 20. So there you have it. Next up is Jack Sawyer, and that's who I think I was mixing it up with as far as the guys that are going to keep their number. Jack Sawyer is going to wear number 33. Number 33, that's what he wore at Ohio State. And also, I don't really have a significant connection to that number either, but I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, somebody definitely correct me if I'm wrong. I want to say 33. Merle Hodge wore 33, I believe. But that's the only other Steeler that the number kind of resonates. Like I said, guys, some of the rest of you may, have a different connection to some of these numbers, but Hodge wore it. He wore it as far as who I remember is Merle Hodge. Yeah. There you go. You guys are backing me up there. Yeah, and definitely, I know Lee Sharp as far as, the number that Rocky Blyer wore as well. But like I said, Rocky Blyer was fantastic. There's others even after him, but I just don't have that connection to the number where I'm like, no, you can't wear that. So no big deal. But definitely, Merle Hodge and his 33. The next up is, if I'm saying this name correctly again, Y.A., I think it is. Y.A. Black. Big D tackle that we took out of Iowa as well. I still have to watch that game, by the way, Kenyon and others. Iowa versus Washington. He's wearing number 78. Now, I saw Dr. Mel say, and for some of you guys, if you may know who I'm referring to when I say Dr. Mel, some of y'all might not. So if you know, you know. I did see her say on Twitter that the number 78 is always going to be offensive line for her. I think she's right. 78 is awkward, only because, there's no 78 that comes to mind at all from a defensive standpoint. And we know the rules recently changed, some years back. Hasn't been that long where you could wear any number you want, whether it's a small digit, big digit. There are no more definitive offensive line, defensive line, linebacker, yada, yada. So, it is going to be a little weird seeing 78 on, on defense. And I'm sure it's happened in the past. Some of you guys are saying Dwight White wore 78. Okay, so way, way, way back in the day. But yeah, it does. And look, Andre Coleman says, Dwight White wore. Like I said, guys, listen, I know the Steeler, the greats, I know the steel curtain, but for me to sit here and identify everybody's number from that time, I'm telling you right now, I can't do it. That was before my time as far as watching football. So, I know all of the guys. I've seen film, but did not study who was who. Obviously, Meeting Joe Green, his number and things like that, and Jack Ham and these guys, Lambert, of course, Mel Blount, but some of all, and again, phenomenal front, the steel curtain. But I would be lying to you guys if I could tell you that I just would remember numbers just like that, because that wasn't my era. So yeah, forgive me. But 78 is just gonna be weird for me to see. And maybe, like, again, some of you guys that may have, been around to really watch Dwight White, then, it'll look familiar to you guys. So there you have it. Will Howard, 6th round pick, wearing number 18. Another guy, Ohio State. Ironically, the two Ohio State guys are gonna come in and wear the number that they wore in college. So, I just hope he doesn't play like some of the guys who have wore number 18. At least the ones that I know for the Steelers. I hope we get a little better production. But there you have it. Yeah, you're right, Floyd. That was a unique one. Hargrave did wear 79. You're absolutely correct. And that was weird then. But yeah, Floyd is correct with that, man. I forgot about Jay Wobble. He wore number 79 with the Steelers. But like I said, man, I don't know if Floyd was in here earlier. Again, that number 99 is always going to have a place in my heart, man, because of Kiesel, man. And we were at the game together. And we pretty much saw his last game, man. And that was just a sad memory. I'm always going to have that. Carson Bruner is wearing number 44. Again, nobody that I have an allegiance to with that number. If I had to compare it to someone, I hope he has as successful of a special teams career as the latest guy that I remember wearing 44, and Metakevich, Big Red, I think they used to call him, or whatever. I hope he has a stellar, special teams career like that. I would love for him to do more, but I'm just saying, if he can even be that successful early in his career as the last number 44, then I'll take it. I'll take it. Dirty Red, not Big Red, Dirty Red. That's what they call Metakevich, Dirty Red. And then number 34, Dante Kent, round 7. Again, I only have bad memories of 34, and I could be missing somebody, guys, that, did decent with it. I want to say Ray McLeod wore 34 for us, I think. I think he wore 34, but I only have bad memories of number 34. And you guys would know what player I'm talking about. That gives me bad memories for the Steelers history from my time watching. Yeah, 34 is not a good one. Not a good memory for me, man, in my tenure. No. I'm not talking about Edmonds. I am not talking about Edmonds, guys. So let's see who can solve that riddle. Let's see who can solve that riddle, and then I'll continue. Of course, Debbie gets it. You daggone right. Rashad Mendenhall. That is the one. See, y'all was so quick to think I was talking about Edmonds, man. I told you. Y'all don't listen to me, man. Edmonds won't that bad to me. He just wasn't a great, but he won't that bad, man. By the time Edmonds got to his final 2 seasons, Edmonds was playing relatively decent football for the Steelers, doing what he was supposed to do. Did not have much beef with him, man, during those 2 years. So it absolutely was not Edmonds. It is Mendenhall. Menden fumbled the ball. That's who it was. So there you have it. All right, moving on, guys, to the next quick topic we have here. Let me get my notes. Let's talk a little bit about the minority owner. I think they said his name is Thomas Tull. Minority owner jokes about the Aaron Rodgers situation. Quite funny if you ask me, man. I just want to say this before I get into basically what he said. It's just not a good look, man. Anytime you got ownership of any level commenting about the situation in a joking fashion, it's just not good, man. It's just not good. It's just not good. As I reflect on it, man, yeah, it's bothersome. Hold on, guys. I got another little snippet that I wanted to reference. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. Hold on. I'm gonna see if I can find it. I'm not gonna make y'all wait too long, but it was something else I saw in reference to this situation as well. Hold on. Let me see. Can I find it fast enough, man? I need somebody. I need a research department. Maybe one day, man. You know, speaking into existence. Maybe one day. I can't find what I was looking for. But anyway, man, Thomas Tull said basically, he says the Aaron Rodgers situation is more complex than AI. It's not a good look, man, when anybody related to the team ownership is talking about that. Now, some people are going to say, oh, well, what difference does it make he's a minority owner? No. He's saying basically what a lot of the fans are saying. And I know some people will probably spin what he said and, you know, try to fit a narrative here, narrative there. I get it. But it is a fact. Here it is, guys. It is May 6th, 2025. And we do not know if Aaron Rodgers is going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. I also saw something, and that's what I was looking for. I'm just remembering it off of memory. I don't know the exact quote, but I did see something else where they said Tomlin was saying something in reference to training camp or something not necessarily being a deadline for Aaron Rodgers. And it's like, listen, it's like this. Who knows what the inner workings are? Who knows what the conversations are? I know some people are going to say it's all a Tomlin decision. Some people are going to say it's all a GM decision. Some are going to say it's all ownership. I don't know. None of us know. Either way, even if it is a Tomlin decision, I definitely think that as a staff and organization that they all are on the same page and they understand what's going on. I just don't like it. I'm sorry. I just don't like it. I don't like that we are waiting and wait. Just move on. You know what I mean? Because if I'm being honest, Aaron Rodgers doesn't win the Super Bowl for the Steelers. I do not believe that. When the rubber hits the road, I do not believe that. Do I think Aaron Rodgers will have us relatively decent? What do I mean by relatively decent? Get to the playoffs? Maybe get us a win? Probably. Perhaps. If we got into the playoffs last year with Justin Fields and Russell Wilson, which our offense took a slide the last 4 games or so. But do I think Aaron Rodgers could perform to that ability? Absolutely. I think Aaron Rodgers actually would play a bit better than Russell Wilson only because of his style of play. He is capable of playing out of the pocket. He can move, anticipates, on his throws, can still make certain throws, will throw in the middle of the field, 2 big targets on the outside, a running game. Yeah, I think Aaron Rodgers could potentially have us play as well or a little better than we did last year, but I do not think we go to the Super Bowl by inserting Aaron Rodgers. I just don't think largely we are a Super Bowl team. Now, granted, the season starts, and you never know what type of team you have until the season starts, right? I know all of this is just prediction. I'm just saying, as I sit here today, I don't see that Aaron Rodgers moves the needle that much more. So even if the Steelers are in a win now type situation, it's not a 1-year rental on Aaron Rodgers is not guaranteeing you a Super Bowl. So the reason why I say that, if that's the case, man, go ahead and let whoever you want, whether it's Mason Rudolph or Will Howard, just do it. Just take the keys and whatever's going to happen. Still try to win as much as you can, but I don't see the benefit, or if we're talking championship, I just don't see that Aaron Rodgers does that at this stage of his career. That's what I got for you. So that's the reason why I just don't like it. I don't like that we're still sitting there in limbo, and it's ugly. I don't like it at all. But, there you have it. But I just thought it was funny, man, to hear the minority owner making jokes about the situation. And it could just be jokes, but I don't know. I try to read a little bit between the lines, and, sometimes there's truth in jokes. So that's what I get from that. So let's get basically, guys, to the last, not yet. I have 2 more topics. While we're talking about Mason Rudolph and Will Howard, I still want to ask you guys. Let me ask you guys in the comments, guys and gals. Why is there so much pushback to Will Howard? Let me paint the picture. Pittsburgh Steelers go into the season with Mason Rudolph, Will Howard, Skylar Thompson, whoever else will be the 4th quarterback, whoever the 4th guy will be in training camp. Speaking of training camp, Tomlin's statement kind of, if Rodgers' training camp is not necessarily a deadline, and Omar Khan said they want to go in with at least 4, I wonder if the plan is to pick up another veteran or a UDFA or whatever in anticipation of Aaron Rodgers coming later and you just cut a guy. I don't know. Just kind of thinking out loud. But anyway, let's say the Steelers go into this season, go into training camp or whatever, right? They're ready to go. They're implementing plans and everything, and there's no Aaron Rodgers. And you would think the leading 2 candidates at that time would be Rudolph and Howard. If that is the situation, why is there so much pushback to Will Howard? Why is it? I've even seen people making a strong case for why Rudolph, you prefer him much more than you prefer Will Howard. I don't know what so much of the pushback is, man. I haven't watched his Gruden camp or quarterback camp yet. Everybody says it's a really good watch. I hear people like Gruden and others really campaigning, saying that the Steelers got a steal in him. I want to ask y'all, what is the pushback? And this is after the whole Shedeur Sanders thing, right? I'm talking about after everything has hit the fan. Whatever happened with the draft is over now. I'm talking about now that you know who's on the team. Why is there so much pushback and hate towards Will Howard versus Mason Rudolph? Like, Rudolph is leaps and bounds better than him. I don't get it. So let me see if some of y'all can explain that to me. Let me see what y'all got really quick. Let me see what y'all got. Dark Storm says, Howard a 6th rounder. Even if he just becomes a solid backup, it's a win. Yeah. Why Diggy says, because fans got blinded by the name Shedeur Sanders. Yeah, I think that too. Absolutely. Andre says, I'm a fan that's willing to give the player a chance. I gave Kenny Pickett a chance. So now I'm giving Will Howard a chance. I'm right there with you, Andre. I'm right there with you. I mean, he's on the team now. He's on the team now. CT Pittman says, all I see in Will Howard is he's willing to work and he wants to be here. 2 really good attributes. Yeah. Like, the dude keeps saying that he wants Pittsburgh. He wanted Pittsburgh to draft him. And I don't think that was just talk. I didn't watch the episode with Ben yet, but we saw him saying that during the draft process. So, what else y'all got? Any other comparisons there? Let me see. Mark Cunningham says, I haven't heard pushback except for national media. National media definitely doing it. But yeah, I've seen pushback, man, and on X and people sending me messages and stuff on my my Still Basement Facebook or whatever. Yeah, I'm seeing it. I don't understand why. Dragon Jay-Z says, I think it's because they more or less left the second most important position up to what amounts to hopes and prayers with a 1/4 roll of that office tape. That's real flimsy. I get you. I can't argue any of that. I'm just saying now that has happened, it's so much pushback to where they would prefer Rudolph over him. And I'm like, whoa, slow down. And I'm not trying to knock Mason Rudolph. They made the best man win. But I just don't understand where people are acting like Will Howard is chump. You know what I mean? Like, he might not be this godly, worldly talent, but he's not a bum. Especially considering the quarterback room. And this dude is prototypical. Like, he is Steeler-like. 6'4", 230 something. Gruden is, I ain't going this far, but Gruden is comparing him, not comparing him, but he's saying that this guy could be a Josh Allen-like because of his stature and his toughness and his willingness to run. That's what he was saying. He's not comparing him. He's just saying, hey, man, this guy could be a Josh Allen type of guy because of what he's made of and literally, his stature. And I'm like, yeah, I don't understand it, man. Still 43 says, I'm starting to think Steeler fans just like controversy. That could be an accurate statement, man. Some of them I think do. Steeler Card says, I think Howard can play. Not saying he will be the future, but he can be just as good, if not better than Mason. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I just don't understand the dismissal of him versus Mason Rudolph. All right, one more. Why Diggy says, I watched the Gruden video. Will Howard seems to have poise that others that did, what he said, poise that others that did his show did not, including Jackson Dart. Okay. So I definitely can't wait to watch it. Hold on. CT Pittman also says, Howard been counted out on every level, and he's proved them wrong each time. There we go. So he has a chip on his shoulder. That is excellent. That is excellent. That is excellent. One more. Cutboy412 says, if Rodgers doesn't come, that'll be perfect for Howard. He'll have a realistic chance to compete. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, yeah, that's all I got, man, on that particular subject. Lawrence Ladie says, Sim, are you saying that Mason can't get better? I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is there's nothing that we have seen from Mason Rudolph that makes us think that he's leaps and bounds better than what Will Howard might be. That's all I'm saying. And here's the thing. It's funny that you asked that question, Lawrence, and I'm not talking about you. It's just, that is a super funny question coming from SteelerNation, because I remember the times when nobody was sold on Mason Rudolph, right? Mason Rudolph finally gets a chance. He gets us to the playoff. He played good for a 4-game stretch, but we've also seen Mason Rudolph not play well. We've seen him not play well in Tennessee. So to me, I don't know where this overwhelming confidence in Rudolph comes from other than familiarity. And again, y'all know me. I don't hate players. I might give players more chances than anybody on this channel, figuratively speaking. But I don't know. I don't know how Mason Rudolph comes in and just knocks doors off. Hold on, Floyd had something. Let me see what Floyd got. Floyd says they knock him because of the talent he played with, but isn't everybody in the have talent league? Yeah. I don't get it, Floyd, but we'll see. We'll see. But see, we can't. But look. So I take it, Lawrence, that you're a fan of Mason Rudolph, and you think that he has what it takes. That is fair if that's what you're thinking. But we can't keep making excuses, right? Because this is what we do. We're gonna say, oh, well, Tennessee was the worst team in the league. Yeah, but see, we don't give that same excuse to quarterbacks here in Pittsburgh when they struggle. I didn't hear that type of, we definitely didn't have that type of support for Kenny Pickett when our offensive line wasn't so great. Kenny Pickett had his woes, sure. But largely, we weren't that forgiving. We didn't say, oh, the offensive line isn't giving him time. Yeah, he had a problem with rolling out sometimes stuck on a read. I even talked about that, how sometimes he didn't see other things developing in front of him. But you guys weren't that patient. You weren't that patient. So all I'm saying is, again, I'm not disagreeing with you, Lawrence, but like your last comment here is the one thing that I look at you guys as SteelerNation, and it makes me laugh sometimes. Not at you. I'm just talking about the statement where he says, no, I don't think that. He's saying, I just don't think he had enough starts to develop. And that starts to develop conversation is so funny with us, because we largely, I'm talking about all of you guys here and SteelerNation in general. You guys don't give nobody time to develop. Y'all don't. Y'all disputed me up and down the road when it came to Kenny Pickett. And yes, even I started seeing things that I didn't like from Kenny, but we don't give these guys time to develop. We don't. So that's why I just think it's funny. Again, not you, Lawrence. I'm talking about just the idea of saying Mason Rudolph didn't have time to develop. Let's get him back. I'd rather him, because we don't do that here. You guys don't do that. Y'all don't allow nobody to develop. We don't. Look how fast we was ready to get rid of Calvin Austin. You know what I mean? We don't let nobody develop at no position. We don't. Y'all ready to throw Broderick Jones in the trash? See what I'm saying? Where's that same mentality with other players? We don't have it. We fooling ourselves. SteelerNation, y'all funny, man. See, that goes with my title. Gotta make your minds up, man. SteelerNation gotta make their mind up. Hold on, guys. We got some Wonder Bread. I appreciate you, Lee Sharp. Round of applause. Then we'll get to the final topic of the night. And hold on. Thank you so much, Lee Sharp. But I gotta read why I dig his comment. Yeah, he's another one. People are already ready to throw Roman Wilson in the trash. Already. Lee Sharp says, imagine what we could do with all those picks next year if Will Howard proved to be our guy. I would be ecstatic. Who or what would be our top need then? Wow, that's a phenomenal question, Lee, that out of left field that I ain't even ready to answer. Wow. What would be our top need if Will Howard ends up having to play this year. It turns out to be, has a Bo Nix type of season, right? When you're not expecting greatness, but he gets in there, little rough start, we stick with him, and then by the end of the season, you looking at him like, hey. Imagine that. What would be the top need then? Wow. Without studying it too much, I would probably say corner, perhaps another stud receiver, because I don't know if they're going to re-sign Pickens. That's about all I got today, because offensive line pretty much would be locked down. The edge positions are okay, especially with taking Jack Sawyer. Maybe a safety. But yeah, that's a phenomenal question, man. But I would say corner or wide receiver probably would be the top positions going into 2026's draft if Will Howard, we're playing the if game, guys, so don't get defensive. If Will Howard turns out by the end of the season, we looking at him like, oh, we found one, then yeah, that's what I got. I see some of you guys are saying corner and wide receiver. Yeah, you might make a case for inside backer, depending on how Patrick Queen's second year goes and with us and things like that. So, okay. So good question, man. I appreciate that. That was a good one. All right, so let's get to the very last topic, man. And this is what I wanted to say and why I say the SteelerNation needs to make up their mind. The rumors have started again. And with the rumors being started, SteelerNation has started again. And some of you guys at SteelerNation are pounding the table as to why the Steelers should trade George Pickens and yada, yada, yada. I only have one question for y'all. I need y'all to make up your mind on what you really want to do. Here's the question. If the Steelers trade George Pickens now, are we saying that we're punting this season to next season? Because in my opinion, the optimal time to make the trade would have been during the draft or before it started, so you could get somebody or some picks to help you this year. You trade George Pickens away now, here's a couple things that are going to happen. We're right back in the same situation. We have one stud receiver, right? Which y'all don't want that. Remember, you guys don't want that. All year, y'all kept asking who's the number 2 receiver. You guys don't want an offense where it's just DK Metcalf and maybe Calvin could do something. Maybe Roman Wilson could do something. Maybe Robert Woods, now the same guy that y'all didn't want signed. So if you're okay with that, you're telling me that, hey, man, we can kind of forego this season. We'll see what we could do, and we'll get draft picks next year, and we'll. Are y'all telling me, SteelerNation, that that's what y'all would agree to? Let me hear y'all answer that. Are you guys cool with, okay, we're going to trade one of the big weapons away, and we're going to punt to next season? We're going to go into this season with one marquee guy being DK Metcalf, whoever's the quarterback, and we'll just have that combination and whatever the other receivers can offer us. And we'll just wait until next year because we'll have 15 or 20 draft picks. I'm being funny, and we're going to swing for the fences in 2026. That's what y'all telling me? So we're going to find a franchise quarterback in 2026 and a stud receiver, and we just we're going to duke it out in 2026. 2025, we don't care what happens. That's what y'all telling me? Oh, my God. Yo. That's why I say y'all got to make y'all mind up. Let me see what y'all got. What y'all got? Big Dro says, I can't see a trade for Pickens. We'll almost certainly get a third round during the compensation once he leaves, and no one is going to give us a second. I agree with that. I don't know if George Pickens demands a second round pick. Not right now. Like I said, I think the optimal time would have been, before or during this draft. CT Pittman says it's crazy because we need DK and George together. Yeah, it opens the offense more because you can't double team either one of them. There you go. I'm with you. Steeler Car says Steelers would never do that. Mark Cunningham says we got to at least see what the offense looks like with GP and DK. Absolutely. That's the train I'm on. Y'all remember, I was saying that even well before the draft. When we got DK, I was like, dog, unless they get something premium, I kind of want to see what that looks like. Dark Storm says everything is in place. QB and to less extent O-line are the big questions. Okay. Cutboy says, no, we need both. Oh, man, my guy, Mr. Right Antoine Myers. What's happening with you, brother, man? Listen, it's good to see you, man. Good to see and hear from you, man. I hope you have been well. Really hope you've been doing well, brother. Oh, man, you made my day seeing you, man, because I don't be forgetting you guys, man. I remember those of you that chopped it up. I remember you guys' usernames and all that. And again, guys, I'm still working on it. It looks like, guys, I'm going to have to resort to a Discord or something. I really don't want to, man, but I don't want to keep going so long without hearing you guys' voices. But I'm going to keep looking. We got time. We got time to keep looking before it's really time, to get you guys on. But I'm going to bring that option back soon, hopefully. What's up, Sim Gaming Network? He says, I know this is a Steelers stream, but thoughts on the GTA 6 trailer? Haven't seen it yet, and I ain't going to talk about it anyway during the Steelers stream, buddy. And side note, SGN, I've been holding out because I was waiting for somebody to update rosters. And this one guy did it, and he did it super fast. Super fast. I've already, played a couple games. He was through the 7th round. I went on through the 5th round. I was on vacation. Now I'm back. I'm assuming that he's probably done now. So I'm about to fire up some more Madden while we wait for the new NCAA and the new Madden with the updated rosters. I'm going to get some content out to you guys very soon. And Sliders are playing great. They're playing great. What else y'all got really quick, man? Before I give you my last 2 cents here. Antoine says, during the draft, I thought my Cowboys was going to make that trade for Pickens. Yeah, I thought that would have been interesting. That'd have been interesting to see him down there, man, with CD Lamb. That would have been very interesting, man. Yeah. And that's the point. Seeing what my man Antoine just said, I want to see that in Pittsburgh. I just want to see how defenses play. I don't, honestly, regardless of who's at the quarterback position, even if it's Mason Rudolph, who will throw the ball deep, I want to see teams defend Pickens and DK. And I want to see Caleb Johnson, even Warren, but I say Caleb because Caleb is more of a home run hitter. I want to see him running against light boxes. Or I want to see teams stack the box and leave them boys out there one-on-one. I would love to see that. Even if it's Mason Rudolph throwing the ball. I want to see that. I want to see how it makes teams feel the same way how nervous I feel when we play the Bengals. Even though we've been able to beat them here and there, I still don't like Chase and Higgins together. It's scary. I want to impose that because we're gonna need all we can this season because, again, on paper, you would expect the Bengals to be a better team as well as the Ravens. So we're gonna have to really claw, kick, and fight to compete. But if we got talent like that, and if our defense can play as well or even a little bit better than last year, we can stick around. But you got to have those weapons that can hit you for some deep yardage. You got to have 2 dogs on the outside, man, in today's NFL. So there you have it. There you have it. SGN asked a good question here. He says, Steelers trading for Ramsey. Would you want that? him or Jair Alexander. At this stage of their careers, man, I would take Jair Alexander. I'm not opposed to that trade. I mean, you got the old veteran and big play Slay, right? But you definitely need a younger guy to, be that outside dog, man, more often than Slay. I would like to use, me personally, this is just my personal opinion, I would like to use Darius Slay in a dime capacity, right? If we could have Joy Porter Jr. and another younger gun, even though Jair isn't as young anymore, Ramsey's definitely not. I would love one of those guys. One guy, I would say I would love Jair Alexander to be able to play opposite JPJ. Because I think Alexander, his mindset and mentality could fit with Pittsburgh. So that would be who I would want. I mean, even as a Knowles fan, I think Ramsey's best days are behind him. I think we get that out of, and I'm not comparing them, but I think, Slade can kind of play what Ramsey could do for us now, right? So I don't see a push for Ramsey, SGN, but yeah, I'll take your boy up off your hands, Packer fan. We take him. Definitely would take him. Shout out to CT Pittman, man, for that Wonder Bread. I appreciate you, brother. CT says, I want to see teams defend DK, George, and Fryermuth. Yeah, me too. And see, that's the one thing that your boy would bring to the table, man, if we got him on a one-year rental. Aaron Rodgers would find Fryermuth. You can take that to the bank. That's the one thing, for you guys who are still on campaigning for that and you just want to see how it looks. Aaron Rodgers would find Fryermuth. That would be something to see with those weapons. So if he ends up coming here, cool. I'll go along with it because if the team goes along with it, and yeah, you would think that the offense would be even better than what we had last year. If offensive line comes together, plays the way we hope they can play, they can protect, run game is clicking. There you have it. What else we got? I would not trade for Derek Carr. No. Why? No reason to trade for Derek Carr, in my opinion. No disrespect to Derek Carr, but again, man, I ain't doing that. I'm not doing that at this stage. Because again, I want the Steelers to continue to get younger. You've drafted Will Howard. I'm assuming they're probably going to go big swing quarterback in 2026. I think Howard would be one of those. Hey, like I said, I'm going to use a comparison of he has to play and he end up being Bo Nix by the end of the season, having a season like Bo Nix had last season. And the Steelers would then kind of say, hold on now. I think that's the situation right now. They're going to go get a QB in 2026 if the right guy comes out, because, there's reports now that a lot of kids might not come out. But I think that's their plan. So there's no reason to bring in a Derek Carr. It's just no reason. Especially with all of the stuff saying that he might have an issue with his show. Nah, I mean, what are we doing that for? No reason at all to do that. But like I said, man, SteelerNation just got to make their minds up, man. I see some of these wild suggestions from us in SteelerNation, man. And again, everybody's entitled to their own opinions, but some of the stuff that y'all want to get off, I don't know what your end goal is. Everybody always wants to push things down the road. It's like y'all want to play for the future, but you want to have success now. How does that work? Everything is now until it's like, no, wait on this guy. We can go do that next year. You can't do both. You can't plan for next year and be uber successful this season. It don't work. It just doesn't work because, again, you never know who you're going to draft, number one. That's why I'm never a fan of waiting. I'm not a fan of that, of the teams who wait and tank and no, because nothing is a guarantee. Even the number one prospect is not a guarantee. So, I don't know. Don't know, man. But you guys are beyond hilarious. But I love y'all still the same, man. But if I had it my way, I would not trade George Pickens. For one, the Steelers will have more than enough comp picks and regular draft picks going into the 2026 draft. Plenty of them. So there's no urgency to get another pick. Like I said, I think if George Pickens was going to get traded, wide receiver class was not deep in this 2025 draft. That was the time where he had the highest price tag. At this point, I don't think nobody expends a second on him going into the season. I just don't think it happened. Unless they were utilizing him as their current year draft pick. So, there you have it, good people. I ain't got nothing else, man. Before we wrap up, I'll definitely answer some questions. I know some of you guys were wondering. I said I would talk about it later in the show. Where I went on vacation, we went to Aruba. And let me tell you, if you've never been there, find a way to get there. Phenomenal. It was amazing. Beautiful. Their vibe, just their culture. I learned a lot about Aruba that I did not know as far as the people and who the natives are, and that, they are mandatory. They have to learn 4 languages in school. They're taught to take care of tourists. Tourism is their 90%, I think. A lot of them were telling us 90 or 85 to 90% of their wealth or their income. Dog. All I'm going to say is if you haven't been there, you need to go. Beautiful. Special. We had a really nice time, man. We did some crazy things, snorkeling with the sea turtles, and, we stayed at the Renaissance Hotel, Wind Creek Renaissance Resort. Got a casino in there, a mall. You got a boat that drives into the hotel and takes you out to the island. They got this little island out there called Flamingo Island. The flamingos walking around, iguanas and all of that, but got us a cabana and just having that little private section, man, it was crazy, out there swimming with it is, yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. It's too much I could so much I could get into that I don't have enough time. But yeah, if you're ever thinking about going to the Caribbean, Aruba is the place, bro, in my experience. All right, so let's see what y'all got, man. What y'all got? Give me some questions. What y'all got? Okay, you going to Casa Mill? Okay. Ain't nothing wrong with that. What y'all got, man? Anything else pertaining to Steelers? How y'all feeling about the team? Draft picks? Anything? Rumors? Anything? But that's how I feel largely, man. I just feel like I don't know. SteelerNation gotta stand on business, man. Stop keep going back and forth. Like it's so funny to see you guys want this and want that, hate this, love that. Like what? Where's the consistency, man? Antoine says, what's the strength of the defensive side of the ball in your team with the most depth? The That's a good question. Let me see if I can answer that. Well, I think today, we're talking about the strength of the defense from a depth standpoint. Today, it would have to be edge. It would have to be our edge rushers because we have 3 good ones, 1 excellent one, 1 is good to great in the making, 1 is very solid, and then we drafted 1 that had a pretty solid career in college. So talking about TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, Nick Herbig, and now Jack Sawyer. So I would say from a depth standpoint, it would have to be the edges. I see Floyd agrees. He says outside linebackers. Who else? Yep, Steeler card. It would have to be our edge group if we're talking about depth. Cornerback depth is not deep, and there's no real strength there, not even with our perceived number 1 guy. You know, he's too handsy, right? So if Joy Porter Jr. is having issues with penalties and such, then you go from there. We already starting bad as far as, you know what I mean? Safety depth. You know, you got Minka and Deshaun Elliott behind that. There's not much that we can speak of. I mean, Juan Thornhill's going to come in for us this year, but again, we don't know what he's going to be. Excuse me. We don't know what he's going to be for us. So we can't really count that as a strong depth spot. Inside backer, I mean, we're okay. You know, if Cole Holcomb has fully recovered and he could give us what he gave us, you know, in the prior season, along with Patrick Queen and along with Peyton Wilson, that you think would be better in his, they could be a close second. And just talk about depth, because those positions, those 2 positions, outside and inside, you could say there's 3 guys that you could say, okay, these dudes can play. Can't really say that right now with the cornerback position. Some of these guys are going to have to prove it. Benny Bishop, okay, but, you know, we saw his areas where he could be exposed. Maybe he'll have a better year this season. Echols has not played for the Steelers, so we can't really say what he's going to be. Darius Slade has not played for the Steelers, so I can't speak those things in existence. And even, you know, again, with safety, Juan Thornhill has not played for the Steelers, so it's hard to say that you could add them as depth. So I would definitely say offense, outside linebackers first, inside backers second. Well, and let's keep an eye on the D tackle position. Let me not forget that. Cam Hayward is Cam Hayward. Benton is up and coming. And then we have to see what Harmon is going to be. But we lost, you know, Ogunjobi. Also, Montravius Adams. So now, you know, it's really on the shoulders of a guy like Harmon to do well and contribute this year. You know, so we'll see. We'll see. What else y'all got? Antoine says, do you feel like y'all made a mistake not taking one of these QBs in the draft? Y'all did most work with Milroe and didn't draft him. Yeah, I don't think it was a mistake. To be able to get a guy like Will Howard in the 6th round, I think I personally think it's gonna serve more as a steal than most people think. Even if he turns out to be a solidified, like, backup. I think getting him at the 6th round with what he is, his game, his stature, his mentality, getting him in the 6th round, that's a huge swing in my opinion. Milroe, you know, I wouldn't have been upset if the Steelers would have taken him in the 3rd round. The conversation, Antoine, before the draft, we were trying to figure out if the Steelers were going to reach on any of these guys like a Milroe, because they did work him out a lot. He liked the Steelers. So I was like, man, if we could get him in like the 3rd, I'd be cool with that. So, you know, if Milroe goes off to have an outstanding career, I would look back and say, dang, I wish we would have took him in the 3rd round. We could have taken him. However, I think we could have taken him. I don't remember where Seattle picked. I could be wrong, but I think they picked him after us, or no, I think Seattle. Yeah, I can't remember. One of you guys might remember. It was either before or after us in the third. So if it was after us, right, I would look back at that and say, dang, we could have had Milroe right there if he turns out to have an outstanding career. But yeah, I don't feel like it was a mistake, because they walk away with Howard, who's not trash, in the 6th round. Floyd says, we have the numbers at D-line, but how effective are they versus our backups in Herbig and Sawyer? Right. Outstanding question, man. Outstanding question. We got folks there, but we just don't know if they're going to, like you said, are they going to contribute as much as Herbig? Think about that. 1 through 3, we already know what them cats has given us, and you would expect Sawyer to do something. Can't necessarily say that 1, 2, 3 just yet at the D-line position, but we'll see. Kenya says, incorrect. Actually, they only met with Milroe and worked him out. They never made yeah, they didn't. They didn't have him in for a visit. They met with Milroe several times. Pro Day, somewhere else, I think Combine. But yeah, he never officially came in for the visit. Why Diggy says Seattle picked him after we picked. Yeah, see? So there it is. If he goes out to have an outstanding career, I would look back at that round and say, should have pulled the trigger right there. Should have pulled it. Yeah, I thought Milroe had a chance, man. I mean, again, just kind of looking at it globally from an Arthur Smith standpoint, I'm thinking, there's your Justin Fields, right? So I thought they would pull the trigger in the 3rd, and they didn't. They didn't. But don't forget, guys, like I said, man, Will Howard kind of fits the mold. You can still get zone reads with him. He will run the ball. Design quarterback runs. He's a big guy. Played from under center, right? He's played in shotgun. He's played from under the center a lot. Ran play action a lot. That style of offense that they ran at Ohio State will translate. Ran RPOs, ran quick screens and things like that. Ran jet sweeps. A numerous amount of times I've saw in the games I watch, and I'm still watching, but some of the games I watch, you see handoffs to Jeremiah Smith and the other kid, Ibuka. It kind of fits the mold, right? And they had big guys on the outside. Even sometimes I saw them run 12 personnel. So don't lose sight of the fact that Will Howard, because I think I said that before the draft. I said, hey, one of you guys asked me, who do you think were the best fit for the Steelers out of all of the quarterbacks, including Shador? And I said, honestly, the best fit, based off of what we saw Arthur Smith do last year, it might have been Milroe. And I said, the next guy to me would be Will Howard. And that's who they chose. So, yeah, and I'm definitely going to go watch him on Big Ben's show and see what he had to say. See, I don't like that. I don't like that comment. Dragon Jay-Z, again, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying I don't like that point of view. He says the Ohio State offense only worked because the teams he said only works because the teams in generally they were a lot better than their opponents. I don't like that analogy. I don't get that. You know what I'm saying? Like, because if we saw that in the NFL, are we going to say our offense only worked because they were so much better than the opponent? But then if the offense doesn't work against a good opponent, then how do you judge them? You understand what I'm saying? Or if the offense does, do we only say our offense is good if a team is playing against an opponent that can match them player for player and then they blow them out? Is that the only time we say it's a good offense? You can only play who you play. And Ohio State had low scoring games as well. So I don't like that analogy. That's just my opinion. I don't like that. Yeah, I mean, because you can say that about a bunch of teams. So I guess what I'm saying, man, is if you're saying that about them, then what team in college did you think offense was just great? How do you judge a great offense then? Because you see that, like using your last statement, the parity is the parity in college. So how do we determine whose offense was great? You understand what I'm saying? So that's why I don't know, man. And hold on, let me do something real quick. Let me see something. Tennessee was the number when they played. Tennessee was ranked 7th. They beat them 42-17. Michigan won 13-10. Indiana was ranked when they played them. The score of that game was what? 38-15. They beat Michigan. No, Michigan beat them early in the season. They came back. They produced in the playoffs, 42-41. They put 41 points against Georgia. Wait, this ain't the right year. Hold on. I'm looking at the wrong year. Hold on, guy. Where is it? I just had it. Hold on, guys. I don't know why it's showing me old. Here we go. 41 points they put on Oregon. 21 against Texas. 34 against Notre Dame. You see, so what I'm saying is, I get what you're saying, but it's not like they didn't play good teams. They put 20 points up against Penn State, 21 on Nebraska. Yeah, 31 on Oregon. So I don't know, man. Again, I'm not going to sit here and try to compare schedules and strip the schedule. I'm just saying, I just don't think it's fair to do that. I don't think it's fair to do that for college. Floyd says they had to play Tennessee, Michigan, Texas, Oregon, and Notre Dame, and they all put major players in the league. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Floyd. Like I don't get comments like that. And again, I'm not trying to get on you, Dragon Z. I'm just saying. Kenya says, Sim, Ohio State was the real deal. Don't have to scroll the season, man. Yeah, man. I don't get it. But okay. But see what I'm saying? We always gonna have these differences of opinions, but I think some of the conclusions that some of us draw, I don't know where the data comes from, is all I'm saying. Some of these things, even me, I could be included in some of these things. I think it's personal opinion or preference more so than data. So yeah, and they did their thing in the playoffs. So like, come on, man. I don't know how we can make that argument. But all right, that's all I got, guys. I appreciate y'all getting this show to 1 hour and 14 minutes. I didn't know we had that much to talk about. But every time we cut on the video, get that camera rolling, we get to talking, and we extend it. So appreciate everybody. Thank you again for everybody who dropped some Wonder Bread in the chat. Appreciate that. I know some of you guys have asked how you can donate outside of the show. You prefer not to do it on YouTube. If Cash App is your thing, if PayPal is your thing, I have that information in the description of this video, and I thank you in advance. But outside of that, Sinners. You're right, Kenya. That's the other thing I wanted to talk about. Great movie. I'm not gonna spoil it for anybody. Great movie. Loved it. And if you're into filmmaking, I just love how it was shot. Just even the plot and just the acting from Michael B. Jordan and what he had to pull off, right? I'm not even gonna say any of that because some of y'all might not know what you see when you see it. You might not know, how difficult of a role it had to be for Michael B. Jordan and the reason why. I'll just say that. Great movie, bro. Great. I have nothing bad to say about it. It's not scary, you know, it's labeled as horror, but it's not scary, folks. I will say that. If you're one of those people that don't really like scary movies, no, nah, it's not scary. It was definitely a good watch. And shout outs to Ryan Coogler, man. Yeah, shout outs. Because again, I feel like I love when actors and directors get into a different bag, right? Did not see this coming from them. Did not. So, yeah. Round of applause to Ryan Coogler, man. Yeah. And pay attention to the messaging. It's a lot of messaging in there. And some people might have to see it twice. Because I caught a lot of it, but I'm sure there's other little pieces that draw. Because it was a couple things that I caught that I was telling my wife a little while ago, like, oh, do you remember this part? And this connected this to that. All right, I'll leave it at that. But all right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Again, if you know, if you're new here or not, hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and turn on your notifications. But other than that, I'm going to say to you all, like I do each and every week, stay healthy, stay safe, God bless, good night. Like always, I thank each and every one of y'all for tuning in. And just tonight, because I just got back yesterday, I'm going to add one more comment. Make sure you get yourself to Aruba. Do yourself a favor. All right, man. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.